everybody, it's Tristan here, and today I am going to be talking to you all about the value, or really more so the foundation of a rigorous classroom and rigorous instruction. So let's go ahead and get started by just talking about this definition of what rigor actually is so that you'll know the framework in which I'm talking. So rigor can be defined as work that challenges students to think in a new and interesting way. This definition came from Brian Stashnick over at Edutopia. So thank you for that, Brian. So let's go ahead and get started. There are three big things that I feel like are your foundations for rigorous instruction. And this is whether you're in virtual, this is whether you're in person, hybrid learning, whatever. These things need to happen before you try to start implementing rigorous instruction. And I put that in there because later on, I'll talk to you all a little bit more about, what we consider rigor and what's not necessarily considered rigor. So let me just go ahead and give you all my three main points. So this first thing that I feel like is a key foundation for rigorous instruction is just one, we have to have relationships with our students. So we have to have solid relationships with them. That means you need to be aware of your students' strengths and also their weaknesses as well. It's very important because we build our instruction to cater to the needs of our students. And we want to make sure that we're able to capitalize on those strengths, but we also want to make sure that we're able to support them in their areas of weakness as well. Now, in addition to that, another reason why relationships are so important for rigorous instruction is because students aren't willing to take an academic or intellectual risk inside of a classroom or academic space where they don't trust the person who's facilitating that learning. So I want you to think back to, who your favorite teacher was when you were in high school or when you were in middle school, and think about some of the conversations that you were able to have with that teacher in regards to, content that you had. You were able to have those conversations that you had with that teacher because you trusted that teacher, and it was clear that the teacher respected you and they valued you in the classroom. So it's very important for our students to feel valued. It's very important for us to make sure we have a relationship with them and that they trust us, because we can't take, or they can't take, intellectual risk in an environment where they don't feel comfortable. So that's our first point there with our students, us having relationships with our students. Our second point is that we as teachers, we have to have a clear understanding of our content area standards. Now, I talked about this a little bit in the video that talked about those lesson plan essentials, and you guys see that this is just a constant thing that I keep going back to. Now, when we talk about our content standards, y'all, this is what I mean. I don't mean you need to be able to recite all of your content standards. That's not what I mean at all. But you should be aware of both the skills and the knowledge required for the concept. So you know what's within your content standard strands, and you know what skills and knowledge your students are going to require at some point throughout the school year. And in addition to that, y'all, let's not forget that, standard-based instruction is essential for a rigorous classroom. So that's something that you want to remember there. So that's that second point, that we as teachers have to have a clear understanding of our content area as well. And then last but not least, listen, I only have 3 points for you all, is that we need to have a clear understanding, we being educators, need to have a clear understanding of Dr. Norman Webb's depth of knowledge framework. So listen, there is plenty of resources out there about Dr. Norman Webb's depth of knowledge. There's even some research now, or a lot of research now, that shows the connections between the depth of knowledge and Bloom's taxonomy. So if you're familiar with Bloom's taxonomy, it'll be really easy for you to transition over into the Webb's depth of knowledge. And a lot of people now are a lot more in favor of the depth of knowledge framework. So that'll be something easy for you to study and look up because you're already familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. Now, the reason why it's important for us to know about Webb's depth of knowledge is for two things. One, it helps us create a balance of rigor in our classroom. And this just talks about, or this is just dealing with when we're doing planning and when we're planning our instruction and we're actually doing our instruction as well. We don't want our instruction to always be super rigorous. The reason why, because we don't want to, we know we can easily overload our kids. And when our kids get overwhelmed with information, that leads to cognitive overload, and when we like get the cognitive overload, then we just stop processing information, and then the kids aren't learning anymore, so then it just becomes a hot mess, and then we're just teaching for the sake of saying we're teaching, and none of us want to be doing that. So that's one of the reasons why it's important for us to get familiar with depth of knowledge. But then that other reason is because it allows for us to create our class on what I consider a rigorous trajectory. So it allows us to see, where we're starting out with our students as far as like the activities and the lessons that we're doing, and then how we can slowly build up to getting our scholars, our students, to a place where they're comfortable in the classroom to participate in some of those more rigorous activities. And listen, y'all, that's all I can give you. Like, that's it. So the reason why I can only give you those 3 points is because if you head over to the teachingwithtristan.org website, click on our courses page, you're going to see there's a course available that talks about the foundations of rigorous instruction. So if you're interested in that and you want to know how you can make your classroom more rigorous, please go ahead, check out our courses page and register for that class. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see y'all soon.